Hoka. Hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of June the 3rd, 2022. The Women of Alita Battle Angel, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the greatly desired sequels, series, and whatever else we can get from Disney. So, anyway, I'm your host of Muskogee Creek. I am in Littleton, Colorado, a suburb of Denver, Colorado. And with me, we have Do Not Stand By from Arvada, Colorado. How's it going, Do Not Stand By?
Good. It was a busy weekend last week with a Memorial Day weekend and some family friends over. So I'm a little bit tired from showing them around and driving them to as many tourist spots as I could over the last 4 or 5 days.
Cool. Did you take them down to Lodo?
Oh no, no. Actually, out of all the choices that I gave them, they didn't want to go to downtown. They wanted to go to Golden
Oh,
and Boulder. So we spent nearly all of our time there.
oh, wow. Yeah, well, Golden is pretty nice little place, as is Boulder itself. I guess Golden and Boulder are pretty nice. So, yeah, I could see why they'd want to go there.
Yeah,
So, how you doing? Do Not Stand By. We haven't
yeah,
seen
I'm
you for a
good.
while.
Yeah, sorry, I've been busy over the last few weeks, but yeah, it's good to talk with you.
Oh yeah, no problem with that. Yeah, just glad everything's working out for you. How's your friend doing? The one that whose house burned to the ground.
Yeah, I was able to find a website with a lot of resources and people that he could contact to be able to rebuild his house and get more quotes. And he seems to be doing pretty well, holding up pretty well, and the insurance company seems to be at least treating him well enough so far.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, I'm glad everything worked out for him and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, that's great. You know. And in case any of you are wondering, well, I guess Angelus will be on here in just a little bit, maybe, unless he's working. I don't know if he's working or not. But it's actually been pretty neat weather here in Colorado. We're getting those afternoon rains, kind of like you get in Florida a little bit, except not quite as hard, but it's kind of nice weather. So it's overcast right now, I think, but nice weather. I see Lee Lemon out there too. So yeah, I guess he's yeah. You're in more in the prairie. That's right, Lee, for sure. Let me get rid of that. There. Okay, well, today's topic is we're going to talk about the women that are in Alita Battle Angel. And I think some of you may be surprised at how many, women actors were in Alita Battle Angel itself. I mean, we tend to think of maybe, Alita, certainly we know, and of course, Nissiana and Screwhead, we kind of know Gerhad. We know that, we know they're in there, but I think you'll be a little bit surprised on what we have. Now, we're going to be talking mostly about the women in the movie. We're not going to talk too much about all. We could bring it up, about the manga, about the women in the manga, but and we probably will toward the end of this, but we're going to be primarily talking about the women that are in the movie itself. And welcome Alejandro from Colombia. How's it going, Alejandro?
Hello, how are you? Do you hear me well?
Yeah, I hear you pretty good. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, good,
So
great.
how's everything down
Nice to
there?
be
And
here.
how's every? Go ahead.
Oh, no, okay. No, I'm very well. Thank you. Very happy to share with you this live stream with a very interesting thing about the woman in Alita. I think it's absolutely great.
Yeah, yeah. I like all the women in this movie a lot. Certainly Alita, is certainly my favorite, but I'm kind of partial to Screwhead too. I think she's kind of cool. So we're going to talk about her, and certainly I like Nisiana too. Boy, Nisiana is just in the movie. She's just evil, isn't she? But that's cool. That's what she was supposed to do. Um, So yeah, I guess that's it kind of is what it is, I suppose. And here are some of the women that we're going to be talking about. Are actually these are the women that I identified. And what was funny about this was when I was putting this presentation together, I was out on my afternoon run, and as I was running, I said, "Oh, damn, I forgot Gelda," and I said, "Oh, I got to get Gelda in there." And I went a little bit further and went, "Oh crap, I forgot Chiren." So anyway, I had to add them, and redo all the stuff, but that's okay. Um, but yeah, it's when you think about it, you just tend to think of Alita, Nisiana, and Screwhead, but you don't tend to think of the others a lot of times. At least some folks don't. And certainly all of them are not cyborgs. Chiren, Gerhad, Koyomi, they're not cyborgs. But the others are. Now, Gelda is in the movie, but she's kind of like a flashback type thing. She's not in the present. If you want to think of the movie as being the present time. Um, and certainly there's a lot of women and girls, as Sandy points out, Sin of Sandy points out in the manga. They, like Queen Lymira. We're not going to be talking about her, although we could. It doesn't matter. We can talk about we can talk a little bit about the manga for sure. Because we're pretty wide open on this stream on that one. And of course, there's Karula, which is one of my favorites out of the manga, and Sarah, and I can't with Joshigan's sister. I can't remember her name now. Shamira, I think is what it was. So, and there are others. So, but we're going to be primarily concentrating on the women that are, in the movie itself. So there is I guess, one woman that's in the manga that is also in the movie, well, she is in the movie, and that'd be Crimson Wind. She was one of the pro motorball players, one of the first league motorball players. She was in the red, uh, in the red. I guess you could call it cyborg body, that kind of thing. In the manga, or rather in the novelization, she's a woman, and she's one of those cyborgs that Alita respects a lot, And I guess in the movie you saw a couple of flashes of her, and they had one flash of her as she ducked underneath Scaramascus, I guess one of his attacks, and then skated along. And then I remember looking at a still. I kind of put the movie in the editor, and did a still, and it looks like a white dude, to me, but. In really, Chiren is actually a black girl. So I mean, so it's not a white dude. I'm sorry, but and we certainly could talk about her a little bit too. But these are the seven prominent women characters in Alita Battle Angel itself. You guys got anything to add to any of that right there, or did I miss? Oh, there's Angelus. Good day, Angelus.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Did I say correctly? That's the question.
Oh, hybrid yeah, you did say it correctly, actually. Yeah, hybrid brings up a good thing. Yeah, I could have added Alita, Ito's daughter. She's not really a woman; she's just a little girl, But yeah, I mean, she's a major, I guess, contributes to the story quite a bit. So yeah, I guess you're right, hybrid. We could add Ito's daughter, human daughter, Alita. So that's a good point. And if I'd have probably been gone out on another run, I'd have probably thought of her too. So, but anyway, we can certainly chat about her also. So how's everything down there in Brisbane and Queensland, Australia there, Angelus?
It's good now on days off.
Cool. You guys are in the dead of winter now, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Do you get much snow where you are? Or are you too north? Are you too far north? I guess closer to the equator, I guess, than Maxie is. I guess.
Yeah, we don't get like excuse me. We don't get much snow, no.
Ah, well, that's good. Although snow is kind of neat at Christmas, I guess we get that sometimes here at. Yeah, we do that. We get that. So anyway, yeah, Maxie Shamira. Yeah, Shamira is kind of a important character in the manga. You know, Josh Hagan's sister. That's for sure in the manga. That's right. So Shamira is not the brightest bulb in the bunch, though, is she? But she's in the manga. She's pretty cute. So you know that's okay. You know.
And Chimera
Okay.
was close to Dr. Riddle, right? Greek.
Say
She
again,
does.
Alondra.
Oh yes, I was noting that Chimera was very close to Dr. Ito in the manga book.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. She was. Yeah, certainly. And she was Murdoch's daughter, which is in the movie is McTeague. You know, the guy with all the dogs. You know, Abernaut says Koyomi's not a woman. I don't know. She looks like she's about in that movie. She looks like she's about 18. You know, about Alita's age. Maybe not. She might be 16. I don't know. But I threw her in there anyway because I kind of like Lana Condor. She's nice. She's been in some of the MCU movies, or not MCU. She was in some of the X-Men movies. I guess she played Jubilee. In those, she was in 2 movies, I think. Okay. Anything? Anybody we might have missed there, you guys?
Uh, let me
Yeah,
check it out real quick.
Lee. Yeah,
I think they are the
yeah. Lee
principal.
Lemon said, "Go ahead."
Oh, yes, I think they were the principal characters. I remember a black woman that was killed by one of the cyborgs at the beginning of the film, but it was a very short
Yeah,
film, right?
yeah. Yeah, she wasn't a major character. She was definitely a woman in the movie, that's for sure. You know, but she doesn't even have a name. You know, so I did. You know, I mean, certainly she's also important to the story because they kind of, you know, if anybody hadn't read the manga like I hadn't read it when I saw the movie, and I saw Ito come back with his hand with blood on it the very first time. I went, oh, we got us a little bit of a thriller going on here, you know. So, but it turned out Nisiana was the one that killed her. So, spoiler alert. Of course, I think everybody on this stream has seen Alita Battle Angel, so we don't. That's not much of a spoiler, I guess. But yeah, you're right, Alejandro. She definitely was a major, or played a major role in this in the early part of the film, anyway. I guess. And Lee says Koyomi is about 19 or 20. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, and
Technically, Crimson Wind was in the movie, so
yeah, we just mentioned her a while ago. I didn't put her in here, but I could have, you know, but I didn't.
yeah.
But yeah, she was in the novelization for sure, and I think she's in the manga too. So yeah, but she was in a couple of those shots in that pro motorball. You know, when Alita and Hugo go on their date, you know, to the I don't know if you call it a date. I think Alita probably wrangled him into going, you know. So, but anyway, you know, yeah. So, you know, I think, yeah, she's definitely a woman, and I think she's going to be in the sequel too, is what I think. And certainly she would probably be in a series if they did a motorball series. where the second league, where Alita wins the second league and maybe moves up to the Champions League, she'll be in there. So and Koyomi being aged up, yeah, exactly, because in the manga she's a baby to begin with. Of course, she definitely later on in the manga, she's a teenager and all that kind of good stuff. So. Okay, guys, did I miss anything here on any of these? Now, it's kind of in alphabetical order until we get to Alita, because Alita's she's our queen, so we want her to be last so we can talk about her. But the rest of them are in alphabetical order. So, just in case El Lamont's listening, we didn't put Screwhead down the bottom because we don't like her. So just know that, El. So we put her down there because Screwhead begins with an S. So it's way down at the bottom of the list on that one. So, okay, Chiren. This is Ito's ex, and and the mother of Ito's child. Her human daughter Alita, and she definitely had a major role in the movie. Now, she wasn't in the manga. She was in the anime, but she wasn't in the manga. But she certainly has a super major role. And yeah, you're right. I guess, I guess Mikey Vike says that Gonzo, is certainly, we're going to be talking about Gerhad in a minute. Gerhad, it replaced Gonzo, Gonzu rather. He was in the manga and in the anime, I believe. So we're going to get to that character in just a little bit. So anyway, Chiren is she was I guess kind of like Ito. She was an extraordinary cyber doctor. She worked for Vector. And she kind of, from what we saw in the movie, where she was in that Champions League where they were having that competition, she struck me as someone who was sort of in charge of operations. Vector was the big, he was sort of the big time boss. But it struck me that Chiren was kind of in charge of everything, the actual how everything operated there at the motorball track, at least with the competitors, because she was the one talking about getting Claymore in, and she said, you tell him to get Claymore in for a pit stop, and basically I guess Claymore said, I don't want to come in. She said, you like losing, don't you? If you don't like losing, get in here. Something like that, and of course after that, Vector comes up and says, why isn't Claymore tracking, and of course she says, that's when she says, there's Alita over there, so but she's a pretty important character, and she's a very talented cyber doctor like Ito. So any thoughts about her, gentlemen?
Yes. It's Penny Benjamin, for those that have know the reference.
Say what again, Ed?
It's Penny.
Okay.
It's Penny Benjamin.
Penny Benjamin. Who is this?
A character from a different movie that is, ironically enough, played by Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, okay. She was in the first Hulk movie too. She played David Banner's girlfriend, I guess.
She's always playing like the love interest, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I can see why. She's kind of cute. There's no doubt about it. She's also married to Paul Bettany, so a guy that plays Vision in the MCU, and Jarvis. He was Jarvis in the first couple of Avengers movies. So yeah, she's that's right, Sin of Sanity. She's kind of a minor villain in the anime, and I guess she's kind of in a way she's kind of a minor villain in the movie, although I don't think it's as clear cut as that. I think she's just trying to get to Zalem is what she's trying to do, and then of course she comes around later. So and helps Alita with Hugo. So anyway, that's a good point. Yep, she definitely was a minor villain in the anime. So what do you guys think?
Well, I would say that Chiren is a very complex character, and it was very good created in the film. Um, we can see in that woman very strong and very opposite feelings about the Dr. Ido and about the Alida,
Sorry.
because uh, when Chiron finds Alida in the streets, he see her like somebody strange that is using the body of her daughter. So that feeling is strong. But during the film, I think that this feeling is changing because in any way, Alida is remember her own daughter. So the feeling of mother is returning to children because of Alida that is
Yeah,
going to change during the film. And another thing is about the relation with Dr. Ito, because in some way uh, she wants to return to Ito because he wants
hmm,
to get a team with Dr. Ito, like working together like a tuner for
yeah,
motorball. Yes.
yeah.
So
That's right.
go with him, but she Dr. Ito thinks that he doesn't to return to build monsters like he
Yeah,
says
that's right.
the cyborg, right? So in that case, that's reject offense very strong to children. So uh, they return to a rivalry between Dr. Ito and herself, uh, like a tuners of one for Grewinska that is something personal that he wants to empower that cyborg against Alita to kill her. But
Yeah,
in the same way, this strong feelings against Ito is because of the rejection of him to get with her again. And in the same time, they are using the relation with Vector to return to Salem, because anyway she is not in the right place in the Idol City. He wants to go there in any way, but the question is the lead is going to think here that because at the end of the movie it's not the place that she really wants to be there. So I think these complexities in the characters of the children, they were very good created, but the screenplay and the Robert Rodriguez work, I think it's really great.
yeah. I do too. And as far as the character goes, I think too that Chiren, Chirin, I guess is the way correct pronunciation of it, because it's like Sandy says, it's kind of an articulated, or not Sandy, I'm sorry, Hybrid said it's kind of an articulated pronunciation. But I think she believes Vector, like you were saying a while ago. She believes Vector is going to send her to Zalem, and she has an ulterior motive trying to get Ito to try to team up with her, to come back and be a tuner, for her players, or at least the players that Vector owns, which we don't know how many players that is, obviously, but she's buying into the con, and Doc Ito is not. Doc Ito, remember, he like kind of like you, I guess, referred to a little bit there, is that Doc Ito said, "I can't believe you believe Vector," and she says he has high connections. Well, yeah, he's convinced her he has high connections, and he probably does. I mean, certainly Nova's able to ride him, but he's a con man. That's all he is. He's certainly runs the factory. He runs Motorball, but he is basically a con man, and he's conning people. So I think, and Chirin doesn't. She doesn't understand that. You know, she does, or she doesn't want to believe that. She wants to believe that, you know, if she does what Nova wants, does what Vector wants, they'll send her to Zalem. And then, of course, toward the end of the movie, she realizes that Zalem is not really what she wants. You know, uh,
Great.
I don't know, guys. What do you think? What do you think she wants? Do you think maybe she wanted to go back to Ito? You think after helping Alita, or what? What's y'all's opinion of that?
Yeah, my opinion is that Chiren, she wanted to have her old life back, and I got the impression from the movie that when their daughter died, when Ito and Chiren's human daughter died, she reacted in an opposite way to Ito. Ito, he wanted revenge against the junkie who killed their daughter, but Chiren,
Mm-hmm.
she kind of wanted to restore what life was like before Ito and she were thrown out of Zalem. And it'll be interesting to see if they give more depth and detail about the story of how they were forced out of Zalem by Nova because of their daughter. And now that their daughter is gone, she's lost a reason to want to continue in Iron City, which was originally to raise her daughter with Ito. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like that how in the movie they had her walk the line between she wanted Ito back, but only on her own terms and only if they went back to Zalem, and she rejected Alita as being like a replacement for their real daughter.
Yeah.
But then when she saw what Vector was doing with trying to kill Alita, and then when Vector made that comment to her during the motorball tournament that he promised Hugo that he was going to send him to Zalem.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
she realized that this was a scam and that Alita was a lot more like her real daughter than she originally gave her credit for.
Yeah. And you know what I think latched that all together was when she saw the pain and the anguish Alita was in when after Zapan had stabbed her and they were in the church. I think Chiren probably saw, you know, I mean, you know, kind of had feelings there, you know, that kind of got resurrected, I guess. And when she came out, once she helped Alita, I think that was the trigger, you know, that actually got her to wanting to go back, you know, maybe go back to Ito or whatever, you know. I think that's probably because it's kind of like when at the end there, you know, he said when Vector said I can send you up to Zalem right now. She just says, uh, "That's you know, there's nothing up there that I want," or something like that. It was something to that effect. And I think to your point, I think she realized at that point, you know, when Vector said, "Well, I'm sending him to Zalem," you know, and kind of laughed about it. I think that's when I think that's when she realized that, you know, Vector's a con man. And if he's going to joke like this about sending someone to Zalem, he's probably joking like this about me.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that there was also that part of her that she realized that what she really wanted was a family again. She really wanted to have Ito back, and she wanted to have the feeling of being a mother. I mean, she even said so to Vector that that she's a mother, and she forgot that. And seeing how courageous Alita was and the depth of her feeling about Hugo, she really changed her mind about whether she could see Alita as an adopted daughter.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
Yeah, good
that was
point.
definitely that was setting the hook, as they would say in fishermen's terms. I think that kind of got her. That kind of made her change course at that.
And contrast that to when Alita was cut cut in pieces by Gruishka, and Ito was cradling Alita, and then Chiren made the snide remark that you think it's so easy to replace us. Um, Go ahead and try as many times as you want. And at that point,
Yeah.
she was still rejecting Alita and still seeing her as an awful replacement that Ito was trying to make for the original family.
Yeah, it was interesting that she said, "You think you can, like you said, do you think you can replace us that easily?" She was probably thinking about herself too, wasn't she? I mean, it's like, Ito, can kind of, he can build these cyborgs, and I don't. Well, he didn't build a cyborg to replace Chirin, of course, but I kind of got the feeling that there was a little bit of sour grapes there, uh, when she said, "Do you think you can replace us that easily?" But I also got the feeling that when Ito did not react to her at all, he just walked right by her. He basically ignored her, you know, and she kind of, just from the look on her face, to me, it was like she regretted she said that at that point. That might have been the start of the journey of her flipping around and doing a 180. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
think you're
You
right,
agree with
Creek.
that, or
Yeah, I agree with that, Creek. I think I saw that that moment of regret after she just saw Ito walk by her, um, because yeah, it seemed like she felt felt sorry that she was so spiteful.
yeah? What do you what Angelus? What do you and Alejandro think about that?
Well, I think it's a very good point. I think it in fact is a fight not only in the Bar Kansas, not only between Grewinska and Alita, because they are two. In another level, it's a combat between Chiren and Dr. Ito, everyone like a tuner of two cyborgs. And as said, don't understand by the phrases of Chiren at the outside of the Kansas bar is the strong feelings of her that they want to get in the life of Dr. Ito and to
Yeah,
make very strong presence because he's still very important because he was his wife, he was a mother, and sometimes in this emptiness of her mother is something that is calling very strong to her. So it's
yeah,
very something that is combat himself. So the way that she sees how to combat that is destroying Alira with the Winscan, with all the powerful that he has made for him. So in that level, I
yeah. I
think
agree.
very interesting this situation.
Yes, yeah, I agree 100%. Any other thoughts there, Angelus? What's your take on Shirin's journey back to from the dark side to the
Most
to
of the
the
points had
force?
already be, most of the points have already been addressed, so it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I
So
think I agree with Alejandro. Oh, go ahead, Angelus.
no, that's what I was saying. Most of the points that uh, I was going to make have already been made, so it's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I agree with Alejandro. I think Shirin is a kind of a complex character. In some ways, she is the most complex character in the movie. In some ways, because she's kind of starts out, at one end and ends up at the other, and it's kind of a little. You can see the turmoil going, especially in when they were watching what was billed as the second league tryout. you could see that look on her face like she has right there. Uh, yeah, you're kind of breathing heavy there, Angelus. I don't know if you know that. So kind of, but
Is
anyway,
it me? Or okay.
yeah, yeah, that's all right. But anyway, yeah, look at that look on her face. That's the shot right after Vector said when she's and when he said, he brought her right to him, and she said, brought to him. He said, "What'd you promise him?" He said, "Well, I'm sending him to Zalem, of course." That's the look right there. That is the shot after he said that, and you could see the realization on her face that, oh crap, he is conning me too. I mean, that's kind of the way I see that look right there. She realized at that moment that she is being conned. You know,
Yes, sure. I
what do y'all
agree
think
with
about
you.
that?
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely. Because in that situation, I think it was at the same level of Hugo because all she and Hugo was being scum of Baker lied to them because they promised to send them because but the smile of and the lack of uh, Baker's she gets the idea that she is in the same situation of Hugo and she's never going to get there. I think that is the
yeah,
this face that you are showing in that photo. And the another
yeah,
thing that's very interesting is the combination of color of her dresses because you can see in black and white and some colors with flowers and black. So I think the combination of color of her dresses is showing the duality of children combating against the bad feelings and the good feelings and how
yeah,
the situation is managing because he wants to find the right way to her destiny, but somehow is strengthened in that moment when she
yes,
the reality of the situation of her
yep.
up way to Salem.
Yeah, I think at this point right here, she's starting to think about the ways she can get out of this. I think that's where she is right now on that shot right there. That's the beginning of it. I mean, she probably hadn't had enough time. Certainly hadn't had enough time to think about it at this point. But that's the old. This is what I call the old shit moment. That's what it is. Oh crap! I'm what? Oh, that kind of thing. That's what that is. And she is now going to start thinking about how am I going to get out of this? What I mean, how, because I know I'm not going to Zolom. I know I'm not. So what am I going to do now? That's kind of probably where she is immediately after that shot right there. You know.
And this is a very strong point of the film because she changed her mind because when she found
Yeah.
Alita with Hugo, he lied to Vector and he helps to Alita to keep the life of Hugo. So
Yeah.
even if he had the heart, the very precious elements of Alita in her hands, he helped
Yeah.
to conserve the life of Hugo. So I think this scene is the point of non-return of Chiren and check that the way to stand is not for her. She has to find another way for her life. So it's very crucial moment of the film for Chiren.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
another
Then
thing
you can see.
very
Oh, go
interesting,
ahead.
a very another thing that I think it was very wise of Robert Rodriguez and Laeta Calogridis is the way that Sheeran is the exact character that helped with his wife and the knowledge of how to conserve the life of Hugo because she knows about
Uh
that
huh.
very different of the
Yes.
manga because it's impossible that
Yeah.
Arena with the loss of her brain and the memories
Yeah.
can get the way to conserve the head of Hugo, so that this how
Yeah.
to resolve the situation was very wise, I think.
Yeah, because in the manga, you're right. In the manga, it's just Alita did it by herself, didn't she? She connected Hugo's head to her heart by herself. So, the idea was, how would she know how to do that? you know, Whereas I think you're right. It was very smart in the screenplay, and for them to come up, with Chiren doing it, because you've already established that Chiren is a very accomplished cyber doctor. So yeah, you're right. That was a pretty good adaptation, I think, right there. All righty, guys. Anything else? I think we're going to see Chiren again. By the way, in the series or the sequel or trilogy, or as we talked last week, 6 movies. uh, I think we're going to see her again because she wasn't dead when she was in that box, was she? I mean, she was very much hooked up to life support. In that technology of that whatever was in that box that she was in. And yeah, they could most definitely put her brain, and her heart in a cyborg body. They could very much do that. So I think it's a good chance that we'll see Shirin again because she didn't die. She was still alive. When after Alita, sliced Gruishka in half and killed Vector, Shirin was still in that box. And of course, probably Nova wouldn't forget about that because he really admired Shirin. He wanted to, I don't know, he wanted to experiment or whatever. But yeah, it'd be kind of gruesome. But anyway, yeah, I mean, she's still very much kicking, as they would say. You know. Yeah, sure.
And
You're right about that, hybrid. She starts out very dark, and you could see that in her clothes, couldn't you? And at the end of the movie, she had a really kind of like a very, a light colored. I don't recall exactly what it was she had on, but kind of what she's got a mixture of black and white there. So yeah, that's kind of a visual there of her journey from the dark side to the light, I guess you could say, putting it in Star Wars terms. So yeah, and yeah, she definitely wanted to get free of the evil. That's for sure. So any other observations about Chirin? Cool.
Not from me.
All righty. Gelda. Yeah, Gelda definitely. Now I guess she's the only character. If you think about the character in terms of the time frame of the movie, she's not contemporary in the present of the movie, but certainly she is a major character. And certainly we do know that Gelda was Alita's sensei and commander, in the military. And in the manga, she's a licensed master. I think we've had discussions about whether we think, she's a licensed master or just a master, or whether Alita was a warrior or a high warrior. I think Angelus and I have both evolved on this, that we think Gelda was a licensed master and Alita was a high warrior. Because in the manga, Gelda actually rescues Erica and Alita, from those, I guess, mercenaries that tried to get them to walk across the minefield. It was like 6 mercenaries or something like that, and Gelda takes them out like within 5 seconds. and that just kind of tells you, from the manga, because we don't have much to go on from her in the movie. She's only in the movie in 3 places. The battle on the moon, she was there. The zero G gravity chamber training, she was there. And of course, she was leading the squad up the supply tube to Zalem. So we don't have a lot for Gelda there, but I definitely think we're going to see Gelda, if not in a sequel, definitely we will see her in a series. I think, especially if they do a Mars Chronicle series. I think that would be I think she'd be a key character in that one. So, what do y'all think about that?
Well, another point of Zelda is when Alita remember her voice when he's cut in pieces after the fight with Grewinska, and Zelda said that he gets the soul of the survivor. I think that is very important for her because um, when Alita lost her part of the body, he had the strength to, even in that situation, to introduce her hand in the right eye of the Winska and say the very good remember phrase of the film, the fuck your mercy. I think it is strength because Zelda in, Zelda make the training not only for military aspect but also the spiritual aspect that you said he was as the sensei in all aspects of Alita. So I think it was
Yes.
character was very important for her growing as a woman.
Yes. Yeah, she was definitely. She'd be almost like a mother figure, wouldn't she?
Sure.
There'd be a lot of tough. There'd be a lot of tough love there. I think. Yeah, Gelda's pretty badass, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. Oh, you know, Cinna Sandy says, you know, that if they clone her in some way, she might come back. Well, I think Cinna Sandy, it might be that what they do uh, is, they might have her come back in flashbacks, kind of like they did in the movie, or if she's in the Mars, if they do a Mars Chronicles series, then she would be in that, obviously, and she'd be a contemporary character in that one, you know. But yeah, in the movie, in a sequel or trilogy, or what the Creek gets what he wants, 6 movies, then yeah, if any of those she appeared in would be as a flashback, I think. So I kind of agree with you. Or if they clone her, like you say, yeah, if they clone her, then maybe she can come back. So
Well, I'll throw out
anyway,
another.
guys,
I'll throw out another
go ahead.
possibility because they showed Gelda and Alita surviving the defense ring on the supply tube, and she tells Alita to finish the mission, and obviously they weren't able to finish the mission, and Alita was able to survive the next 300 years. There's a possibility that Gelda may have survived the 300 years as well because it's different from the manga in that Gelda and Alita were in that final battle to take out Nova in Zalem, and there's a possibility that
Yeah.
even maybe that Nova kept Gelda in stasis for the last 300 years.
Or maybe they did her the same way they did Alita. They tortured her and executed her and thought she was dead, and they threw her in a scrapyard. And then maybe they find her later on. Maybe she got, I don't know. Maybe Ito finds her too. I don't know. That'd be a little bit too predictable, I think. But maybe, yeah, that's a possibility. For sure. What about other thoughts? What do you think about her being in a series? Any thoughts about that?
I like the series idea. I like doing Mars Chronicle, but as you had mentioned before, Mars Chronicle might be a little bit too mature and too adult for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully either Disney would sell the rights to somebody else, or there would be another channel that they could maybe a Fox channel or another streaming service that would be able to do the more mature TV series.
Well, we talked last week about if they did a series, for Mars Chronicles, and they toned it down a lot, for kids. I mean little kids. Make if it's an anime as an example. Because Disney's pretty good at putting together, anime. They are real good at it. And I like Hybrid's comment here too about how everybody thought it was kind of critical of Alita's eyes, kind of being like a, uncanny valley, making her look stupid or whatever it was. They didn't say anything about Gelda's eyes, and they're just as big. So, yeah, these people are they are, what they are, I guess. But yeah, I think if they was to do something like that, or if they did a live action type situation with Mars Chronicles, they certainly wouldn't want to make it like Mars Chronicles in the manga, because that thing's pretty bloody. It's pretty gory in places, and the creep factor is really really high. Toward the end of Volume 7, I guess, or in Volume 7 of the Mars Chronicles, about Alita's origin. So they would have to change that. Because you couldn't show that to kids. They had kids that have nightmares forever. So but yeah, they could definitely get Gelda as a contemporary character in a series. And I kind of liked your suggestion too about her surviving like Alita did. Because they're both Kunzlers. They're both berserkers. And if Alita can survive a fall from 2 miles up, which is what the movie would be, in the manga, of course, she's thrown off of Jeru, which is in 22,000 miles up. Now that'd be quite a feat for her to hit the target in the, for her body to end up in the scrapyard from 22,000 miles. That'd be like sinking a golf putt from 100 miles. But it is what it is. But there's no reason to think that Gelda wouldn't survive that also, because she's probably a very similar construction to Alita. Just more experienced, more capability because of that experience and that kind of stuff. So, any thoughts about that, guys? Is there any other scenario in which Gelda would actually survive or come back in a series or a sequel?
I think for the sequel, it could be important for Alita to consider what is the point to destroy Salem 300 years after the fall, because I think it was extremely solution in that what the time of war. I think it could be the mission that they have to do. But as Koyomi said to Tanji, get over it. It was 300 years. It was a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that destroying something not the solution for to kill Nova or destroy all the experiments and a very strange thing that keeps killing persons or humans.
So,
And I think it could be a mistake, like for instance, like something like to destroy the Alexandria Library in that time, because all the knowledge of scientific knowledge is in Salem. Because, for instance, Dr. Ito know everything about that in Salem before the problem with her daughter. I think Alita has to consider that mission in the sequel. What do you think?
yeah. Well, yeah, I get your point there. You're right about Koyomi. It's hey, 300 years ago. Come on, man, get over it. That kind of thing. But I think in the terms of Alita's brain, I mean, she was given a mission, a military mission, and those folks a lot of times they're going to accomplish the mission. And I think that drive would still be in Alita. Now, yeah, with Tanji, that's different. He's a civilian. I think he's. Let me get that out of here. Sorry about that. I forgot to mute my phone. Anyway.
Down in front.
Yeah. Y'all get on me on that if you want. That's okay. But yeah, I think Alita. because I kind of got that feeling that's where she was when, just before she sliced Gorishka in half, that, she remembered at the end, when she was about to get up out behind, Vector's desk, and she had that flashback of the supply tube, and it was like, the last word she heard from Gelda was destroy Zalem, you know. I think that drive is still going to be there, but you might be right. She might say, hey, it's 300 years ago. I'm not going to do this, and Alita does have some pretty good moral values, I think. I mean, I've said in the past, she does have her moments. There's no doubt about that. Where yeah, especially toward the end of the movies, that was more like manga Alita right there at the end of the movie than it was at the beginning, obviously. I mean, even though she does have her moments, I mean, and she is basically good, she can be pretty brutal, I mean, as a person, and that's due to her training and, as Ito said, who drawn to conflict and stuff like that, Oh, by the way, correction here. Senator Sandy said about we were talking about cloning. He was talking about cloning Chiren, not Gelda. So, and you see there in his text that it would be, if they, Gelda would be coming back. He thinks in his flashbacks. Yeah, I think you may be right about that, Senator Sandy. I think so. I think in a sequel or something like that, unless Gelda survived like Alita did.
Well, Gelda doesn't survive in my does survive in my scenario, but
Nice.
yeah, it's not a happy ending, that's for sure. Because we don't see her fall off, and if she's to in theory, like lift Alita up off the piece of pipe she was hanging off, she would have had good footing. So I can't imagine her. How should I put it? Like sort of losing her footing instead, sort of thing. So they both basically get up there. They somehow get defeated, possibly even by like the movies versions of collapse arounds. And yeah, I mean, Nova only needs one berserker body to experiment on, so he keeps Gelda and kicks Alita off into the scrap heap.
Yeah, he might do that. That's right, because Gelda, he might see as a better subject, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
And
So
and then Alita,
when Alita gets up there in sequels, well, final boss fight, master versus student. How many times? I mean, yes, that trope has sort of been reused in cinema, but
yeah.
I mean, how many 80s, 90s, and even noughties martial arts flicks have, the master and student sort of had a clash?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, though, let's say they begin to fight. I think Gelda would come to her senses. I think she may get in the fight with Alita. She's winning, and she kind of has flashbacks herself, and remembers that they were, kind of on the same side, or she was like a big sister to her, or a mother, or whatever, it would be, whatever that relationship was there. And she would turn, like that. Because remember, Alita turned Chiren. So, I think Alita could turn Gelda, I think, although that might be tougher because Gelda's got that same type of military training that Alita does. But I still think Alita could do it. And I think if they did get in that final boss fight, like you suggest, I think that Gelda would come to her senses during the fight, you know. So, and that'd be interesting to see how the outcome of that one would be, you know.
But that's like where it would really start deviating from
Yeah,
any source material. So I don't know if they'd
yeah,
really do that because let's I won't say assume, but when it becomes a success, you know, naturally they'd want to continue on with it. So they'd
yeah,
have to, you know, leave some uh, openings, I guess, story-wise.
yeah. Yeah, because Gelda doesn't show up in any of the remaining original manga, does she? After that, some of that beginning or the Mars Chronicles too, and she certainly doesn't show up
Yeah,
in the Last Order. So, you know, and there's no explanation of it either. I don't know if she got killed or if she was, or what happened to her. You know, there's no further story or anything like that about that. So,
and I don't see, like,
hey,
I mean, while it's nice to think and theorize and like brainstorm, I also don't think Cameron's like the type of director, producer, screenwriter that to reuse tropes just for the sake of it.
yeah, yeah, he's a
Like
little
he'd
more
want to do
original
that.
than that, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I don't think, I mean, certainly he strayed a little bit from the manga, you know, in the movie, but it's still pretty faithful to it. And I don't see him diverging from the manga that much as, you know, as what we talked about, how Gilda could have survived the fall, you know, from Zalem, you know. So, yeah, I don't, you know, we might see some kind of a flashback from Alita about them executing Gilda. We might see something like that. You know, that's also a possibility, I guess. There's a lot of possibilities. So you know, and we want to see them, Disney. We really do. Any other thoughts about Gilda, you guys?
I have another idea, Greek.
Okay.
I I think, in my opinion, Alita can break the order of Zelda to destroy Salem because in Alita there are very strong feelings about the love, for instance. Remember at the beginning
Okay.
of the film that Alita promised Dr. Ito to return home before dark, and she promised
Yeah.
by herself. And in the same
Yeah.
day, she broke that promise because she was with Hugo in the
Yeah.
motorcycle, enjoying and having fun. So I
Yeah.
think if Salem was the destiny of Hugo, they had very strong feelings about that destiny because he was in love with Hugo. And as she said at the
Yeah.
end of the film, the enemy is. Uh, she know who is the enemy. The enemy is
Yeah.
Nova. It's
Nova.
not the city. It's a person. It's Nova. So I think it could be interesting the confrontation of the military order and the feeling of her heart about the city.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and her moral values may not want her to destroy Zalem either, right? Because there'd be a lot of, I guess, looking at it from her perspective, there'd be a lot of innocent people up there, and she wouldn't want to kill them, possibly. You know, although in just in the manga, you know, where Operation Malwarf, she was going to kill them, but I kind of agree with you. She's a different person, you know, after she gets, you know, brought back by Ito, I think, you know. And you kind of get that feeling too, the way she treated that little stray dog. You know, she's a very kind person, although she can go sideways on you. That's for sure. she can definitely do that. But yeah, but I think generally speaking, she's a kind person. So I think, yeah, you may be right about that. She may not want to destroy Zalem because in her mind, maybe she said, well, wait a minute, that it's kind of like you said a while ago, that was 300 years ago, and there's innocent people up there, and nah, I'm not going to do it now, you know. So yeah, you're possibly right about that.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm. Any other thoughts about Gilda? Okay, Gerhad. You know, Gerhard is she's a pretty important person in the movie too. I mean, without Gerhard, Ito would not be as effective cyber doc as he is. Now, if you've read the novelization or heard the audiobook like I have, you know that Gerhard is now this character actually replaced Gonzu in the manga and in the anime. You know, so Gonzu in the anime and the manga is kind of an old white guy. I don't know what he had some weird looking hat on too. Like he might have been a cyborg himself. But and she's certainly a cyborg. You can see from her left hand there, left arms. You know, she's a partial cyborg for sure. You know. And you get the feeling that she can detach that arm too, because there was that scene where Alita did all that handstand and finger stand, where she had just like a regular arm. But when they were, re-embodying Alita, she had that special, kind of an arm that she could directly connect with machines. So, so she had that. But Ito would not be as good as he is without her, I think. And I think she's in the novelization too. They give you a little more context about her involvement. About how she, when when Alita did that handstand and that finger stand, and she kind of lays her head on Ito's chest and stuff like that, and then we see her go out after after Hugo, jumping across the buildings and stuff like that. In that, when she was doing that handstand and finger stand, she had no clothes on, But when she ended up in front of Hugo, she had that black, whatever that outfit was she had on. In the novelization, Gerhard, she said she was going to go look for Hugo. And in the novelization, all she had, I think, was a pair of panties on, I think. I don't remember. But when she said that, Gerhard says, "Not dressed like that, you aren't." So anyway, you got the feeling she had a little bit of sway with Alita, in the novelization, which is where the movie comes from primarily, or a good bit of it anyway. And I think too that one thing we didn't get a appreciation for in the movie, that if you read the novelization, these re-embodiment procedures take like anywhere from 42 to 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours. And it's a very complex, very difficult task. And Ito could not do that by himself. He would have to have help, and that's where she would come in, I think. And also in the novelization, it speaks to her being qualified to be a cyber doctor herself, because of all the hours that she had logged as a professional and stuff like that. So, there's a lot more under the surface here with Gerhard than it appears in the movie. She's not just some helper, if you want to think of it as that. She is a consummate medical or cyber doctor professional, So, and you kind of don't get that feeling in the movie. At least I didn't the first time I've seen it. Now, since then, I've seen it but listened to the audio book anyway of the novelization. Yeah, you get that feeling, that she is that person. So, and I think we would see her. I think we'd see her in the series too, for sure. I think she's definitely going to be in that series, and perhaps they might even show a little bit of a re-embodiment procedure when Alita gets into the civilian body, you know, because if they're going to do a sequel or say a trilogy or what Creek really wants, 6 movies, she's going to get re-embodied 3 or 4 or 5 times, you know, in different bodies, you know, and she's probably going to be there for some of them. Yeah, Gonzu was an old drunk with a metal plate on his head. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do remember that. So he's like an uncle. He's like Uncle Creek, I guess.
Only Uncle Creek never dies. He's
Well,
immortal.
hey, Gonzu he's certainly alive in the year 2563, isn't he? Or in the manga, I guess. What is it, 2363 or something like that, or 2463, something. I don't know. So,
Go
yeah.
up to little kids. See this picture of Muskogee Creek. See this picture of Gonzu.
Yeah.
Spot the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
for
The difference
starters,
is 600
Gonzu is,
years.
and for starters, Gonzu isn't a powerlifter, so there's that.
Yeah. He certainly doesn't look like one, does he? And neither does Gerhad, for that matter. So, any thoughts about Gerhad, you guys?
Just that is probably the one example where you could, change the character any which way you like. You'd still be like they still managed to keep the spirit of the character
Yeah.
because Gerhard is Ito's assistant, and let's not forget that when Alita was torn apart in the manga, I
Yeah.
believe wasn't Ito like injured as well, and he had to
Yeah.
basically like sit back while Gonzu did all the
Yes.
practically the entire operation
Yeah.
from
In the manga. Yeah.
to put Alita in the berserker body. So
Yes.
you could argue that there's a connection there as well.
Yeah. Instead of Sandy says Gonzu is me in 500 years. God, I hope not. So that was my response right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I don't look like that.
And
So,
as for the relationship between Alita and Gerhard, I mean, like that's sort of alluded to when she's helping Alita, identify which tools that Ito needed when he was fixing up the guy that got cyberjacked.
yeah. What do y'all think about Alejandro or Do Not Stand By? What's your opinion or whatever of Gerhad? What is she going to be back in the sequel or whatever?
Well, I think the Gerhard has the warmth of the femininity presence of like a mother presence uh, in the clinic for Alita, and the equilibrium between the male female combinations for the the surgeries and all the help for people in the clinics.
Yeah.
Even I think they have very few words between them. I think only at the end of the film when Gerhard said to Alita that he was stable and he's okay or something like that. But the interchange of the sense between Gerhard and Alita is a smile, if what the warmth of the relation that it's not so much words. It's only the expressions of the faces of the tenderness that Alita uh, gets inside of Gerhard, and the very important point that Gerhard goes with Dr. Ito in interventions with Alita and going to the motorball, and at the end with the helping with the change of the body of Hugo. Um, I
Mm.
think that's warm in the film. It's very interesting and gives that this female feeling for the elements of the clinic, not only for surgeon or mechanical aspects. Get, Gerhard got that gives that very emotional and tenderness and warm, like a female presence in the clinic. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that adaptation. You're right. She is. It's neat that they had a female presence in the clinic as opposed to Gonzu. I mean, Gonzu's okay, but I kind of like the fact they changed the character. That's kind of neat. By the way, this is for Sin of Sanity right here. Yeah, there it is, Sin of Sanity. Yep, the creek likes going there, that's for sure. So anyway, good catch, as they would say. Do not stand by. Have any thoughts about Gerhad?
Yeah, I agree with Alejandro that Gerhad had a great presence and really made it seem more like that Alita had a family, and that uh, Ito was more like a dad and a father figure in the movie than in the manga, and Gerhad is more
Yeah,
like the maternal figure, especially when they were at the motorball competition, and she had to drag Ito away because Alita was feeling embarrassed by how emotional
yeah,
Ito was, and they didn't give her many lines, but I thought the actress did a great job emoting and conveying
yeah.
that warmth. And I'd love to have her back in the sequel because I think that she's a great compliment to Ito's um, father figure.
Yeah, because with Ito, it's like all business, isn't it? I mean, or all, he's doing his doctor thing or something like that. Although he is like you say, he is like a father figure, but she seems warmer, doesn't she, to me? Although I would say when she had that first did that plasma weapon with her finger, the look on Gerhard's face was holy crap. She could burn this place down. you know. Yeah, she's a great character. Any other thoughts about Gerhard?
Another point that I think is interesting is Gerhard. She's very worried about the future of the clinic because she knows that the money is necessary, and she
Yeah.
expressed that it's going to be paid by fruit, is going to end harvest the oranges.
Yeah,
So
we're going to be
I think
picking these. Yeah, keep this up. We're going to be picking these ourselves. That's
it's
right.
true. So it is a very strong point in that, hey, Dr. Ito, please go on Earth and check that we need money to conserve this employee and to um, keep helping people, but the money is important. So I think it's a very good balance for the very spiritual aspects of for Ito, but the very
Yeah,
practical aspects of the clinic that Gerhard is helping here for there, right?
yeah, yeah. I think when she said that, if you keep getting paid in fruit, we're going to be picking these ourselves. She certainly didn't know that Ito was a hunter warrior who was getting extra money to keep the clinic open. But one would wonder, I think, knowing her being as intimately involved with the clinic and all that like she was, I wonder if she thought, where the hell is this money coming from? Because she knew how many patients they had. So she had to have some idea about how many credits they were getting. And yet the clinic was able to stay open without any trouble. I think, it'd be kind of interesting to see her reaction in the sequel. That they let her find out that Ito is a hunter warrior. By the way, there was Lee had brought up a thing about, Ganzu didn't come to a very good end when Japan destroyed half of Iron City. Uh, that, I don't know how that would work here, but you would think that Gerhad wouldn't, if they stuck to the manga, she wouldn't come to a very good end either if they did that, So, oh yeah, I guess that is right, Lee. Now I never read the prequel, the Iron City prequel. Yeah, that she knew. I guess she did know he was a hunter warrior. So yeah, that's right. In the novelization, it kind of portrayed her as not trying to get too personal with Ito. I mean, Ito respected her a lot as a professional, and she respected him and all that. But if she made some comment that Ito thought was all over, stepping over bounds or something, that he would fire her. So I know that was in the novelization. So yeah, I don't know. I think you're probably right, Lee. Maybe it certainly didn't seem that way to me in the movie, though, that she knew he was a hunter warrior. So I don't know. So anyway, okay. What about Koyomi? Any thoughts about her? Now we know in the manga, Koyomi starts out as a baby, not an 18-year-old or 19-year-old. She's a baby, But I think it worked this in pretty well, and I think they worked it in well here. But I don't know if her and Tanji were an item or not. Maybe they were, maybe not. Maybe they were just good friends. I don't know. But it seems to me that once Tanji got killed, and of course, Alita several months after that became the second league champion, they would have the opportunity to have Koyomi go out to the Badlands, and hook up with Den somehow, I think that would be a possibility, and then of course they wouldn't have to, I think in the Badlands she was like 14 years old or something like that. Well, they could certainly get away with making her 20 or something, 21, something like that. But I definitely want to see her in the sequel, because in the manga, if they stuck with that, she had a pretty important role to play throughout the manga, even into the end of the last order. She was there, So I think. And I really like Lana Condor too. She's great, Like I say, she played in the X-Men movies as Jubilee, which is one of the mutants, she had the power of, she had some kind of electrokinetic power of some sort. I don't know what it was, but she's definitely in that franchise. She was a super, superhuman in that one. In this one, she's not a superhuman, obviously. She's just a human. But, I think she would have a pretty big role to play in the sequel, especially in the Badlands arc. I think she would definitely have a big role in that one. Because, she actually, I guess, is sympathetic to the Barjack, I guess, folks, trying to overthrow Zalem and stuff like that. So, I think that Koyomi. I think Lana Condor would do great on that role. So anyway, what you got? I'm running my mouth too much. What do you guys think?
Well, I would say that Koyomi is a character that balance the females and males integrated of the scrimmage of Motorball, and give us the idea that maybe it's possible that the woman could be memorable too, like
Yeah.
a woman, right? And
Yeah.
uh, I think another a port to the film is to make the strong feeling for Alita, because uh, when she asked to Tanji, why didn't she likes you? Um, and Tanji said that the question of the hard bodies, and they she I think it's the new generation that considers that it's a very good scenario in that moment to get a very good um, mm, scenario to live together between humans and cyborgs, and leaves the old ideas of the combat and the enemies and their arms and the humans. And I think
Yeah.
it's like a kind of uh, new vision on how to consider the relation between the cyborgs and humans. I think it's a very nice contribution in that feeling. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think she does. I know in the well, I will say this too. Yeah, she has a good balance, kind of a middle ground, I guess, between the cyborgs and the humans, sort of. But I do know in the extras you got on that one DVD, I guess, that's on YouTube, this stuff too. She actually helps Hugo and Tanji jack cyborg. So now you didn't see that in the movie. You know, I mean, there was certainly a bunch of them there when they jacked Kanuba. You know, and those folks had masks on. One of those could have been Koyomi, I guess.
Well,
And you know, go ahead.
yeah, let me tell you something. I checked one of the painting of the movies that contract James
Yeah,
Cameron in the 2005 year, and there's a painting of Koyomi inside of the truck helping Jackin Cyborg. Maybe
yeah,
I think uh, for Robert Rodriguez, she it's not very noticed, not very strong situation of Koyomi in that band of Jackers, because I think it's maybe some weird situation. But in fact,
yeah,
in the old conception, she was part of the band. I agree with you.
yeah. Well, I know one thing about her is that she's a she. I do get that feeling about her from the movie that she is a tough character, and the reason why I say that is because well, you see her there. She was playing motorball with those guys, you know, and holding her own, you know, very well. So she's a pretty, even though she's a human, of course, all, you know, all of those folks that were playing except for Alita were humans, you know, that's for sure. But, you know, they were all guys except for her. And she was doing very well against them, you know. So, you know, I think that, I, you know, I think I think she is, you know, she's not a weakling, you know, or anything like that. I think she would fit right in. Now, yeah, I kind of agree with Sin of Sanity, you know, how she kind of was like a pretend journalist or something like that. And she ends up getting indoctrinated or falling in with a group, you know, with the Barjack folks. And yeah, but, you know, they could change that. You know, they could make some modifications to that in a sequel. You know, they could definitely do that. So, uh, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Any thoughts about her? Do not stand by on Koyomi.
Well, I think that I agree that she could definitely be changed for the sequels and not follow the same story as the original manga.
Yeah,
And she might be able to play more of a role of being Alita's best friend, because when Alita was doing that, doing her first practice um, um, motorball, she was like
yeah,
just as welcoming as Hugo, and she was also
Yeah.
upset when Tanji bullied Alita. So I
Yeah.
think there's really a way for them to tell a bit of a different story with Kiyomi and making her more like a peer to Alita, and potentially having her um, play a different role than in the manga.
Yeah. I liked how Koyomi, approved of Alita kicking Tanji's skates out from under him and slam dunking that goal. She skates up by her and she says, "Good shot." I love that. Love that thing. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. And yeah, of course, her last speaking scenes in the movie were trying to convince Tanji that Alita's a good person and that he shouldn't hold a grudge against her.
Yeah. Not for a 300-year-old war. That'd be like people in America holding a grudge against the English for the, the Revolutionary War, is what that would be like. So yeah, you're right. So yeah, that's that shot you were talking about right there, and it's kind of like the look on her face there where she was talking to Tanji, like when he said that, I never got the hard body thing, and besides, she's Erm. She was probably the enemy at one point. And she said, "Yeah, get over it." That's kind of, you can see that look right there, like, what is wrong with you, type look. So yeah, I really enjoyed her character in the movie. That was really pretty cool. She's a good actor too. I mean, she really is. I like that one scene in, I guess it was X-Men First Class. She was in that playing Jubilee. And Scott Summers was sitting on the couch, and they brought, I guess they brought uh, that character Kurt Wagner. I can't remember his name. He's that guy, a teleporter. And they bring up, and Scott says something, kind of condescending to him or something like that, and Lana Condor says, "This is Scott." Like, real kind of like in that same mode, like she was there with the Tanji, like this is an idiot. It's kind of the way she portrayed that. So yeah, I'd like to see her in more involvement too. In that, just she was only in like what, 3 scenes or something like that. That scene, the motorball scene, and the scene out at the ship, the ship. But yeah, she's a great actor, that's for sure.
And I think
I think,
the cast, I think the cast of Lana Condor was very good because he gave us the aspect of the Asian origin of her face, and he gave us
yeah,
the multicultural aspects of all the people in Iron City. So I think she gave us that idea that this is like a Babel Tower in the Bible aspect of
yeah,
this is recovering
uh-huh.
all the last different people of different areas of the planet that they are all converged in the Iron City. So I think her cast was a very good selection for the film.
Yeah, she was a good character too in the novelization. How she seemed to be, between her and Tanji, she seemed to be the smarter of the two. She knew about the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, and Tanji just thought there was only one ocean or something. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've, actually heard that. Not, it's been several months anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's like she was a rudder for Tanji, wasn't she? She was kind of like, okay, Tanji's got all this stuff going, and it's like, she's kind of like giving him a correction or something like that.
And I think she represents the another opposite of the feelings of Tanji. Remember the first phrase of Tanji about Alita when she fell down, when
Yeah,
Tanji said to Hugo, "Your freak girlfriend has a serious malfunction." So
yeah, yeah,
aspect is the negative feelings of Tanji against Alita, and Kayomi is the opposite of that feeling. I think that
Yeah.
balance very good managed for the girls in that aspect.
Yeah, I like what Hugo said to him too. I'm very sorry that she embarrassed you so severely, or something like that. That was funny. Yeah, I definitely want to see Koyomi come back. That's for sure. Angelus, any other thoughts about Koyomi?
No, at least not like I had something and I lost my train of thought, which is typical, typical Angelus.
Oh, don't worry about it. Well, if you think about it, we'll come back. We'll come back to it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. The hybrid brings up a good point that she kind of told Alita what the was, right? I mean, Tanji just said I mean, like and she says United Republics of Mars, I mean, yeah, I mean, you got the feeling that she knows, she knew history and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, this is probably a character we're not going to see in any sequel or anything like that. Because of course she got killed. So, Alita put the end to her. But, I mean, I really like Isa Gonzalez. I mean, she's great. She's been in several other films. She was in one film, I guess, with Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. She was in that film, and I can't recall the title of that one, but she was good in that one too. And I think she was in the Machete movies. I think she was in that too. So, boy, she was evil, wasn't she? Man, in Alita Battle Angel, she was extremely evil, and had that kind of a eerie, kind of a laugh, and the way she was talking to Ito and stuff like that, it's like, oh man, that makes your skin crawl a little bit, So, yeah, we're not going to see Nisiana again, though. In a way, that's kind of a shame, because she is a good actor. And Angelus, correct me if I'm wrong about this. Didn't Elle Lamont tell us? Didn't she tell us in that interview that her audition was really as Nisiana? Didn't she? I think I remember her saying that.
I think I remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course they gave Nisiana to Eza Gonzalez and gave Screwhead to Elle. So yeah,
First
she's
good thing they did.
yeah, Nisiana is pretty badass. There was a little part there in the novelization, where after Alita takes both of them out, and Ito, goes to the factories collecting it, they give you a little bit more story, about Nisiana. Nisiana was worth 20,000 credits, and Romo was worth 12,000, and and the story was, well, Romo would have been pretty pissed if he'd have known that Nisiana was going to had a bigger bounty on her than he had on him, or something like that, But God, yeah, she's pretty bad. She was scary, boy. I mean, she was yow, I mean, pretty like insect like almost, when she took off that when she took off all that stuff, that she had on. And she was a total
Yeah.
replacement cyborg. Yeah, go ahead, Angelus.
No, like I was just as I was thinking it, you said it basically
Yeah,
about her
little
metamorphosis. Like,
little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, an evil little Red Riding Hood, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, do not stand by, or Alejandro. Any thoughts about Nisiana?
I love the fight choreography between her and Alita. It showed off Alita reawakening her martial arts skills and then doing the double punch and then avoiding her slashes. There's some great choreography in that fight scene. So I remember Nisiana as much for the fight scene as for her creepy and evil lines that she said to
Yeah,
Alita.
malevolent.
Yes,
Yeah,
malevolent.
malevolent's a good word. Yeah. Yeah. Lee says she's like Little Red Riding Hood, except she eats the wolves instead of vice versa. Yeah, she's a pretty badass character, and those two blade weapons. Yet I agree with you. Do not stand by. That was that first fight. When she kind of pounded Romo pretty easily. And you didn't. She kicked and got on top of him, started just pound him. Before he had a chance. But Nisiana, had a chance. To take her out. And what I liked about that fight is it showed just how good a fighter Alita was, or is, or will be, as they would say. But taking out somebody like this that has two blade weapons for hands, and all Alita had was nothing, just her fist, her fist and her feet. That's all she had. And really, there was no doubt who was going to win that fight, really. I mean, Nisiana had those blade weapons. And at one point, I guess, had her on the ground almost like she was going to, but Alita's too fast. She couldn't, stab her with those weapons. And you got a good first impression of how powerful Alita was, even in her doll body, that she, could kick Nisiana as hard as she did and knock her up against the wall like that, even punching her, like you said, with that double, I guess like double reverse punches, and then doing that improvised flying double side flying kick that decapitated her. I mean, holy crap! And this is a cyborg, that she did that too. So yeah, I agree with you. That really gave us a really good first inkling of just how badass Alita, was, or is.
I was going to correct you on that, Creaky, but then you self-corrected, so...
Oh, what was that? What did I say before?
Was instead of is.
Yeah. Actually, correctly, it'd be will be, won't it be? Because this is in the future, I guess. But yeah, is. We're going to say is because we're going to get that. We're going to get that sequel, so we're going to say is. We're going to get that sequel. So, any other thoughts about Nisiana? Yeah, we're not going to see her in the sequel. That's for sure. Whether we would see her in some form of a prequel or not, I don't know. I guess I didn't read the Iron City prequel. I don't know if she's in that or not. But in the manga, or was it the anime? It was a different character. It was a male character, I guess, that threatened Ito, and then Alita, who was down the sewer, I guess, and Alita, kind of pounded that individual too. That's kind of a cross between Nisiana and Romo, I guess, in that particular case. So. Okay, enough for Nisiana, I guess. Screwhead. There we go. There's our girl from a couple of weeks ago. We talked about her. She's a hunter warrior. She's also a motorballer. Or at least was in the movie was accomplished enough to be able to get on the motorball track. Iron City's most lethal bounty hunter. And yeah, there was several scenes of that where she is really badass. Now that I see that appliance on her head too, it kind of reminds me of that story Elle was telling us about how she moved her elbow, that appliance would move. That would kind of destroy the effect, I think. So, but we could see her in a sequel, I think, because when I guess when Stinger cut her to bits, because he wasn't, as he was bringing his blades down, Alita pulled Screwhead in the way and cut her in three pieces, basically. It didn't cut her core, it looked like to me. It didn't cut her head either. So, she probably just went into hibernation mode. I'm speaking wishful thinking here, but I think she can be repaired and come back. And also another thing about her in that interview too is that initially Screwhead really didn't have an issue with Alita. Alita was just a person that came into Kansas Bar initially. She had no reason to be upset with her or mad at her, for any reason, but Vector put that 500,000 credit bounty on her head. Now that changes Screwhead's, changes her, I guess, her motivation, toward Alita, I guess, and she wants to get that money, because she is a bounty hunter, so that's or a hunter warrior, so they certainly in the movie they didn't go a lot into her backstory either. She didn't have any speaking lines either, so we don't know much about her, other than she's Iron City's most lethal bounty hunter, so which is pretty wild because you remember Clive Lee, the White Hot Palm, he killed over 207 guys or 207 marks, I guess. And if she's the most lethal, she's probably killed more than him. So, that's probably, one of the reasons she is the most lethal bounty hunter, because, she has a lot of, how would you say, apprehensions to her credit, So what do you guys think about Screwhead as a character?
Just definitely in it for the money, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Brain does seem to be fine, Sanity. You're right, and I've seen that I think Maxie brought this up too. There's that when I guess Wingman, I can't remember the name of that character, but when Alita knocked his head off in the motorball match, his head was still alive. He was just his head. And he said, "Oh crap," before I guess Stinger or one of them, ran over him and knocked him off. So his head was still alive. Same could be true here, I think. But she's also a total replacement cyborg. Any thoughts on her, Alejandro, or do not stand by?
Well, I said that maybe in the film it could be a very good opportunity to have a conversation between the Screwhead and Alita, like a cyborg, speaking between women that really they don't say anything about that. But I think how
Yeah.
a female cyborg conceives the world, conceives all of the scenario and the feelings of the woman in that in that society. I think it could be very interesting to interchange ideas between the two female characters because they are badass and they are very strong females.
Yeah.
I think this interchange of ideas could be very interesting in the sequel, I think.
Yeah. Well, in the interview, we talked, we kind of hypothesized that, that maybe Screwhead, if she gets put back together and stuff like that, repaired, because she's a total replacement cyborg herself, kind of has an epiphany, about, realizing where the real corruption was in this whole process, and, just being really pissed off about it because, Vector was a great con man. So, she probably thought, that, well, that turkey, that person was evil, and, that she might form some kind of alliance with Alita, after coming back, and, maybe there'll be a little apprehension by Alita to begin with because she'd see Screwhead and maybe want to take her out again or something like that. But maybe they have a meeting of the mind somehow, and Alita becomes convinced that hey, Screwhead really it was nothing personal or with her or that she's changed or whatever. And now she realizes the level of corruption and the evil and stuff like that was going on before. And maybe Screwhead earns Alita's trust, in the movie. Now, Screwhead was not in either the manga or the anime, you know. But I think it'd be a great thing if they brought her back. They and had her in the sequel. I think that'd be pretty cool to have those two team up somehow. Because how many MCU movies have we seen where it starts out like, say, the Scarlet Witch, and I guess the really fast guy, God, I can't remember his handle now. We did we did a stream on him too, didn't we? Do you recall, Angelus? What is his name?
Oh,
Yeah, brain's not working here today, I guess. But anyway, they were brother and sister, Maximoff twins, and they started out working for Hydra, and they were bad. They were working with Ultron to begin with, but then they had one of those moments. Quicksilver, that's who it was. But both of them had that moment when they realized that Ultron wanted to kill all life on Earth, all humans, and replace it with just robots, or androids, because that's basically what Ultron was. He was an android. So, or at least a very sophisticated robot, let's say that. And they had a change of heart, and decided that they were going to, help the Avengers fight against Ultron, And I think the same thing could happen here. I think she could have that same kind of a realization, and have that, hey, I'm done with this. I don't want to fight against this person because this person's not evil. Alita's not an evil person. I don't need to take her out. Oh, here's an interesting question: who's more of a tomboy, Screwhead or Alita? uh, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Do not stand by. Who's the bigger tomboy, Screwhead or Alita?
Well, I would say Screwhead. I mean, Alita, she's got warmth to her, and there's a big
Yeah.
contrast between her and Screwhead in the bar fight, and Alita is asking everybody to band together to fight Gruishka, and then Screwhead just sneers at her, just
Yeah.
laughs it off. And yeah, I feel like Screwhead is definitely more of a tomboy because she doesn't have much warmth or empathy for others.
Or at least not in that part of the movie, did she? What do you think, Alejandro?
Well, talking about the tomboy aspect of
Yeah.
Screwhead,
Yeah.
well, I think it's a must because it's the only female hunting warriors in that scenario, in the Kansas bar and the Marble. And I think maybe it's like a mimetizing form to be like a something neutral in that male world, very very tough, very hard. But I think the aspect of the fate is very nice, and it's very strange that feeling of a beauty of the face because
Yeah.
the body is so rude, so strong. It's scary too, and I think it's a very
Yeah.
interesting combination.
Yeah. She definitely, to me, Screwhead looks more badass than Alita. You know, I mean, Alita, it's kind of like Do Not Stand By says, you know, she kind of has a warmth to her. You know, she's, she's, she looks, I don't know, now looks can be deceiving, folks. She looks more tame, I guess if you want to call it that or whatever, But you go sideways, you go crossways with Alita. I mean, yeah, it's going to not be good for you if you do that. And I think the same thing could be said of Screwhead too. But I think Screwhead, she looks more badass. I mean, look at that. I mean, she got that thing in her head up there, and you see all the inner workings behind her ear, and you got those really dark, shades under her eyes, and that sneer. I think this right here was just after she did that accidental punch, with the gangsta, and you see that look on her face, like it's almost like, okay, she's acknowledged she's hit him and it was an accident, but that look is like, don't you try to hit me. That's what it looks like to me, But anyway, what do you think, Angelus? Who do you think's more of a tomboy, Screwhead or Alita?
Oh, I don't know if I'd even call either, really. I mean, like, she's still, I was about to say pure enough. She's still, I guess, mature enough to want to just wantonly kill people, because she does have the highest death count.
Yeah, she is the most lethal bounty hunter. Yeah, I think it's a tough question. What was that, Alejandro?
Oh yes, I was saying that in fact the Screwhead is a killing machine. It's,
Yes.
But maybe it's the only way to get the money and to survive in that world. But remembering the aspects of the actress like Ellie Lamont, I think it could be very interesting that maybe in the sequel when he could be repaired, maybe she can
Hmm.
express some femininity and some another side of the money of the another side of the coin, and see this aspect of the female character that the the profession like a hunter warrior he has to hide, and I think
Yeah,
it could be interesting to develop the another part of the humanity of a Qhead.
yeah, yeah. I don't know the word tomboy. I don't know about that word. I would say that I think Screwhead looks more badass. I mean, just appearance. She looks more badass. But once again, looks can be deceiving. For sure. But just look at her. That's a pretty tough look right there. That's a pretty badass. I wouldn't want if I had a bounty on my head. I wouldn't want this thing to be chasing me. Nor would I want Alita to be chasing me. Because that could be
Well,
that could be a well, not as a bounty hunter.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. But if I had a bounty on my head, I mean, I don't know what I'd do if either one of them were chasing go or after my head, for the bounty. I'd say, well, I guess I'm coming toward the end of my life here. Because either one of these guys, either one of these ladies are going to take me out. So it'd be pretty a pretty dire situation, I think.
And
Well,
she
I
didn't.
One
definitely
thing you
prefer Alita to be my last my last person I see rather than Screwhead.
Yeah, Screwhead. Oh, she looks pretty tough, man. I mean, that God Almighty, she. I think it was one when we were interviewing her, and I told her it was one shot there. I said, God, lady, you sure look badass. And she does. I mean, certainly, and of course in the movie in the motorball match, she has 4 arms. So as opposed to some of those photos I have there, she's only got 2 arms. So so she can, take her head and put it on another body and do stuff like that. So kind of like those socket soldiers that were in the manga, I guess. It's kind of similar to that, I suppose. So
Yeah, but I'm thinking like Alita and the look on her face when she's flying at Grishka in that famous scene just before she's cut into pieces. I'd rather have that vision as the last thing I see rather than Screwhead, because Screwhead would probably take me out from range too. She would probably just use
yeah,
her
that's right.
chains.
Yeah, they should use that grappling chain, and take you out from, say, 50 feet or something like that, and you would know what hit you. But with Alita, Alita is so fast, that, at least in the manga, in the Berserker body, she can move at Mach 6.8. So, yeah, she could cut your head off. Either one of these two could take you out easy. There's no doubt about it, so.
But you know something? Looking this picture makes me remember a picture of Rosa Salazar in her character of Lynn in the Divergent, that she was a very badass in that film. What do you think about
You mean a Divergent?
Divergent, right?
Yeah, I agree. Rosa looked, Rosa was a soldier in that movie. She looked badass in that thing, boy. She looked like a soldier that you wouldn't want to get crossways with in that movie either. Yeah, I agree.
So a very nice girl could be to, can be changed her aspect, a very badass, and only for cosmetic changes, and it's the same person.
Yeah,
I think it could be interesting.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts about Screwhead, you guys? I know Creaky wants to see her come back. That's for sure. He wants to see her in the sequel. Definitely.
We just want a sequel. Full stop.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We want that sequel. We sure do. Okay. Well, let's see. We save the star for the last, I guess, here, Alita. There's no doubt we want to see her in the sequel. That's because it wouldn't be much of a sequel if she wasn't in it. And it's got to be Rosa, I think, because if for some reason they got somebody else, I can't imagine they'd do it. I'd watch it, but I wouldn't be happy. I would not be a happy camper if they did that, But Rosa wants so bad to play Alita again, and of course Cameron and Rodriguez want to do it again. So, but what I want to see with Alita, is at the beginning of the movie, of course, he's like this innocent little 14-year-old, that has a crush on Hugo and stuff like that. Well, she has a crush on Hugo throughout it, I guess, but but she's just a adolescent, and then as the movie progresses, of course, she kind of matures, and she certainly matures when she gets into that Berserker body, and by the time she actually gets in the Kansas bar where she is here, she's pretty mature right here, mature enough to, I don't know if you'd call it maturity. Go in there and picking a fight with a bunch of hunter warriors is not my idea of maturity, but a 14-year-old might not think, a 14-year-old girl might not think of that, but she's already past that at this point. She's serious about trying to get help, for her and Ito to protect themselves against Grishka, because Grishka is a threat, at this point. Now, when she gets the Berserker body, Grishka is really not much of a threat, not really. I mean, he surprised her at the end, but that self-healing factor kind of overcame that. So anyway, so what do you think there? Do not stand by. I think you've had a lot of thoughts about Alita, about her.
We all do.
About her. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in contrast to all the other women that we've discussed, Alita just surpasses everybody in nobility. I mean, even though she's still at this point just a teenager that's out of her element and doesn't is still naive, she's the most noble person in the entire bar, and the one
Yes.
that calls them out for not living up to their ideals. And I think that's what makes her such a compelling character. That even though she's out of her element, she represents the ideal that we all aspire to.
Yeah. What do you think, Alejandro?
Well, in the scene of Kansas Bar, one of the very interesting aspects of Alita is when she jumps over the table and pronounced in a very short phrases all the judgment that she sees the reality of the hunter warriors, that they are not heroes for her. And she
Hmm.
said, all I see are younger punks, assorted cyber trash, and a bunch of drunken motorballs born ounce too slow to play the game.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a very
Yeah.
compact judgment of all the situations and the critics about the hunter warriors, like how she see all these persons in the Kansas bar. So I think it's as you said, it's an expression of the maturity of her reason and her brain, how he evaluates and assess the society in that moment. So I think it's that expression, that words are very, very, very good in that moment.
Yeah. Well, to your point about her confidence too, when she said, she said that she would take on anybody in this room, and if she wins, they fight beside her. Now, at that point, she knows she can whip anybody's butt in that room. So I think that is a supreme confidence going in there with a bunch of badass hunter warriors, that she believes she can take on anybody in the room. Now, by the way, she at this point, Adjucutty was sitting in there too. He's a Champions League motorballer, and she's speaking to him too. Because I mean, he's in the room. I mean, he's sitting back there, and I remember watching that fight. He's just sitting back looking at everybody fighting, but she's talking to him too. So she had that supreme confidence at this point, you know.
Sure, it's
What do
an
you?
expression of the adult woman, not for the girls, would say that. So I think it's
Yeah,
the expression of the growing of her like a woman, like a hunter warrior in that moment.
yeah. Because she was a hunter warrior at this point, wasn't she? She went down there and remember Zapan was so condescending. Oh, so you went down, you filled out your applications, and now you're just like us. And the answer is no, I'm not just like you. I can whip all of your butts. So I'm not like you. That's kind of when as I watched it after that. So, what do you think, Angelus?
I think I need to
Angelus,
take my vitamins
unmute your
because I
mic.
keep on losing my train of thought.
Ah,
Oh, uh, Alita's humanity was already there. Anime,
yeah,
manga, Rosa just sort of brought it to life in a way that we can
yeah,
interpret it. And, like I just uh, not personified, I guess magnified for lack of a better term. Like magnified that aspect, that emotion, just 100-fold. No, 99-fold.
yeah, yeah. Rosa definitely, and hybrid brings us up too. Rosa made Alita work. I mean, Rosa is Alita. She definitely is.
Absolutely,
And there's
absolutely.
that. Yeah, you can see several shots in the movie. Now there, she doesn't look like Rosa, obviously, but Well, she does sort of a little bit. She does, but I mean, there are some side shots, and that shot when she was on the table when Doc Ito was operating on her the first time, putting her in the body. That looked like Rosa to me. That was Rosa. you know, uh, but it's like Rosa kind of fit that personality perfect. It was like it's like Rosa had experience being a cyborg or something. You know, that's kind of what it looked like to me. I mean, the expressiveness Rosa has, when she played Alita, just the facial expressions, kind of the body language, stuff like that. The little intangibles that some folks, including critics, a lot of times are not that they're not aware of, or they seem to miss it, somehow. She is right spot on with that. She's got that nailed down.
Yes, sure. I am agree completely with you. I think he was exactly the right person, the right cast for that character. As said James Cameron, Rosa Salazar is the light of the leader in the film,
Yeah,
and I think all the richness of their face expressions, body expressions, the voice, as we have talked about that in another little streams, the voice and the richness of very different kind of situations give us a whole world very very interesting about how can you see the Alita in different situations and give you all the expressiveness and the feelings very strong in everything. I think it's wonderful.
yeah,
She's a very good actress. She has a lot of experience because she has worked in very different kind of films like terror or
yeah,
comedy and family series and many many different kind of characters they have worked. I think they bring us all the richness of this experience in the character of Alita. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
yes. Yeah, I agree. She was great and undone too. I haven't seen any of the second season yet, but the first season was just phenomenal. I mean, they sure got a good group of actors for that thing too. I mean, all of those folks did a great job. Rosa was superb in that thing. And you could tell and it reflected too in the Rotten Tomatoes score too. They go both of them well over 90. So just really, Rosa's just great. And
I,
yeah, she's Alita. She is definitely Alita.
absolutely, absolutely. And I tell you, and I strongly recommend to check the undone second season. That is wonderful. And I tell you that
Yeah.
if you are the uncle of Alita, I am her brother because she found me season. You find Alejandro, and she found her brother, and she
Oh,
speak Spanish. And she sing
well,
and she sing.
Alejandro,
That was great, great, absolutely
that
great.
makes that makes me your Uncle Creek too.
Great. Yes, it's a wonderful series. It's a wonderful, and I tell you that it's going to work in the third season because it's not ending in the second. She has to
Yeah,
worry for herself in the
yeah,
third season. I think it would be a wonderful sequel for Rosa, and we're expecting that, like a sequel of Alita.
yeah. I agree. And of course, I agree with Sin of Sanity here too about the numbers itself. That's for me. It doesn't matter what those numbers are. Alita is I mean, Alita Battle Angel is a great movie, and it sure was done horribly. I think by critics and others like that, the haters and those folks. Uh, I also, I guess he alludes to Zom being a sequel and doing something like this. But one of the things I would like to see in a sequel that we kind of saw at the end of the movie when she cut Grishka in half and basically killed uh, killed Vector. Uh, that was more like manga Alita to me. That I mean, the seriousness of that character really, from the happy-go-lucky little teenage adolescent girl, at the beginning, to the dead serious killer, that she was at the end of the movie. I mean, took them both out. Of course, now Vector is certainly a human. He's not going to be able to stand up to a cyborg. But it's like, she there wasn't any second thoughts to her to killing Vector. She saw him as a threat to Ito and Hugo, and she said, "Nope, you are not going to survive." And then, I'm going to make sure that threat goes away. And it was just a very seriousness. And when she was, when he was, kind of on his hands and knees, and she had that sword at him like that, and that look on her face was like, oh yeah, that's manga Alita right there. That's what I want to see in the sequel. And I do want to see her being kind and all that too, because she is, that's her personality basically. But I want to see a little bit more of that manga Alita too in the sequel. That tough, serious, intense, warrior, that hunter warrior. I want to see more of that in the sequel, I think.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we do owe Weta and Cameron and Rodriguez too, for that matter, for all they did, not just the CGI, but just putting the whole thing together. I mean, holy crap. I mean, it was what they accomplished in 2 hours was amazing. I wish it had been 2.5, but they had their constraints. They had to stay within the boundaries. But yeah, the fact that they were able to pull that off like that is just magnificent, I think.
Agree.
Yeah, you look at that face, and that face right there, you don't get the idea that that is a extremely serious, intense killer, do you? You just say, oh, that's okay. That's a cute girl, she's, okay. Don't get crossways with this one. It's not going to end well. You do, Any other thoughts there, Angelus, on Alita?
Ooh.
Yes, she's definitely got uwu. There's no doubt about that.
But
Yeah,
as you
she's
said,
great.
the different picture of Alita give us very different expressions and different feelings during all the things. And in that picture is very nice because she recognized Dr. Rido like a father, even as she said that she is not her daughter. But this
Yeah,
combination, I'm not your daughter, but you are my father. I think the contradictions are very well managed in the situation of Alida and Dr.
yeah,
Rido. Very nice.
yeah. She certainly accepted him as her father, didn't she? At the end, and called him father, didn't she? Thank you, father. Yeah, that was a neat scene, I think. Yeah, I think Do Not Stand By likes that scene, don't you? Do Not Stand By.
Yeah, absolutely. It really brought out all the warm fuzzies for me as a father of a similar age daughter. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, it really spoke to me in Alita being having this unique combination that you can only see in sci-fi and maybe manga, where somebody could have a chance to start over again, but she wants to know who she was before, and the person she was before. There were the good aspects in her being extremely skilled and extremely powerful, but the bad aspects too, and there were only so much that you can do in 2 hours to explore the bad aspects, but I really hope that she
Yeah.
gets that chance in the sequels to explore the bad aspects of her past life.
Yeah, and I hope they don't limit it to 2 hours either. I mean, they need to at least to make it 2.5 hours. Of course, we all know on this stream, the longer the better. If they want to make a 4 hour Justice League Snyder Cut type thing, I'd go for that big time. Maybe two more of those. Something like that. But but to be practical about it, I think 2.5 hours they could do a lot more. Certainly three they could do a lot more. But 2.5 hours would seem to be a pretty good fit. I think, especially if they were going to do more than just one more movie. So. And of course, Sin of Sanity brings up, the high budget productions have declined and all that. And certainly Alita Battle Angel was a high budget thing, but they still got Iron City. They still got Troublemaker Studios there, and they can maybe cut into that budget a little bit where they don't have to build that particular part of the set. Now, if they go into the Badlands, that's going to be a different story. That they'll have to, they could probably find a locale somewhere to simulate the Badlands, I guess. Yeah, Maxie, we see you out there, bub. Yeah, you've been missing some good discussion. Probably Maxie is probably doing yard sailing or garage sailing again. So so that's why he's driving around so much, I guess. So anyway, I think we've kind of hit all of our ladies here, pretty well. I think in terms of want to discuss what they did in the movie and getting the sequel. Anybody got any last thoughts about any of this? About Alita or any of the characters for that matter. By the way, Angelos, did you remember what the train of thought that you lost when we were on Screwhead, or what? Do you remember that?
No, it's gone.
Okay. Okay. Well, you ought to go get you a stubby. Maybe that'll bring it back. So anyway, yeah, that's the Alita I want to see in the sequel right there. You see how serious that look is right there. This is like, Vector, you don't realize, where, I have bad intentions for you, Vector. That's what that is right there. That's manga Alita right there. So.
Great inspiration.
Yep. Yeah, she can definitely go sideways on you. That's for sure.
Maybe
you
for
go
the
crossways with her.
the PG-13.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend one time tell me he kind of didn't like the kind of thing where, these girls like this beat up on these big bad guys and all that. And, I pointed him to that scene where she jumps over Vector's desk, and I said, how would you like to have that standing, within 12 feet of you, with that sword, with that look right there? A cyborg, not a human being. I mean, she is a human. She's a human being, but she's a cyborg, Yeah, you better, yeah, you better, as they would say down south, you better give your soul to the Lord because your ass is hers. Because she is definitely going to take you out, that's for sure. So. Okay, guys, I guess we've been at this, gosh, almost 2.5 hours now. Did we miss anything, or did we miss anybody, any other female or any other woman in Alita Battle Angel? I know we talked a little bit about Crimson Wind and that one woman that got killed by Nisiana, that was where the 3 killer cyborgs were going around killing people, but. Is there anyone else y'all want to talk about, or did I miss somebody that was in there?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see Crimson Wind in the next one too. I mean, Yeah, you know, what'd be good for me would be to see Alita, Adjicutty, Crimson Wind, and Screwhead all end up on a motorball team together. You know, that would be pretty neat, I think. Yeah, Alita does love her Uncle Creek. You know, she does. And if you have anything to say about it, she's going to hit you with that plasma weapon. So, you know, there we go. Any last thoughts, guys?
Oh, I think it's okay.
Cool. All right. Well, here's our queen right here, Rosa. I put her up there at the end of every stream, I guess. And like we said a while ago, she brought Alita to life. That's for sure. You know, she's a great actor, man. She is just really super. She is #1 in the Creek's book. And like I say, every week, it doesn't hurt that she's pretty either. You know, she's that, and she's a great actor. You know, and she is Alita, so that's a good thing, I think. Okay, Angelus, you want to talk? You're not the host tomorrow, are you, or is Maxie?
No, that's Maxi, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So
Or
anyway,
yeah, we still haven't sorted it yet. Oh,
yeah.
oh shit, that reminds me.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you haven't done the show notes yet, have you?
I wonder who's
Yeah,
giving me shit for. No, no.
yeah. Max is good. Max is going to give you some grief about that one, probably. So anyway, we're in the show notes, Mac. Angelus, that's what he's going to be thinking. So anyway, yeah, what I know about this, it's going to be about the sonic finger. I think is going to be the big thing in it, isn't it? Something like that. Isn't that the volume 3, chapter 1? We are
Oh,
not the one with the sonic finger in it, or what? I can't remember.
it does sound familiar. Yeah, I think that should be the
Yeah,
next one.
yeah. Well, anyway, you join us on Radio Chaos tomorrow. It's roughly 24 hours after this stream, and go over to the Radio Chaos uh, YouTube page, and click on the notification button, and then you'll get notified that when the stream goes live, and you can you can check it out, because I really enjoy these manga streams, because it's the whole story, I mean, it's the whole thing behind Alita itself. So I kind of really like those. So it should be a lot of fun tomorrow. Okay, so why is this image here? Well, this image is here because the Creek likes it, and the Creek's running the stream. And to paraphrase Gruishka, I am only here for our girl and the Alita Army. Now, next week, the Creek is not going to have a stream, because the Creek's going to be in Las Vegas at the Bench Press National Championship. So but what I will do is get one of the popular streams from the past and upload that and premiere it. So if you still want to watch, and I'll pick a good one. And if you still want to watch something, that about Alita and stuff like that, it'll be on the stream. So it'll be one of the previous streams that really went over big, I think. And you can still get into watching Alita, something about a stream about Alita next Friday, or if you live in the future like Angelus, it'll be Saturday.
Okay, we are notified.
You betcha. And
I
I'll
hope
put a tweet out.
you get a lot of money in Las Vegas.
Nah, it's not a professional thing. This is an amateur thing, so I won't get any money for it. But that's okay. I'm doing it for the fun, So yeah, gonna be some pretty stiff competition in this thing too. So we'll see how the Creek does. So
Yeah, best of luck to you.
I appreciate it. Okay, so I guess that does it for the stream, and so I guess we're going to do the call to action, I think, on my count of 3, and that would be 1, 2, 3.
Film those
Film
sequels,
those
baby.
sequels, baby. Okay, and we will see you tomorrow on Radio Chaos, and we will see you week after next on the next Alita live stream. So good day and good night.
Good night.